Hello viewers, here is a set of Vtech telephones. Pretty sure I already checked these out, so I guess this will be the ReCheckout. This is the Vtech model CS6719-2. That's all the information there really is on here. It takes this ridiculously small plug. The cradle is does not have a model number on it. The phones take the battery pack BT162342, which is a 2.4 volt 300 milliamp nickel metal hydride pack. Whoops. The power adapters are the model number. Oh jeez, I can't even see it. Looks like the model number is going to be KU1C-060-0300A, and they are. I don't get too far into this video. Okay. Okay, though, yeah, the model number. The adapters output. They output the DC 6 volts. Oh no, it's not. It's the AC. They output the AC 6 volts at 300 milliamps. You know, I don't understand that, this AC output stuff. It's becoming more common than I realized. It seemed like a lot of the older, like really old AT&T equipment use the AC outputs, and then now it seems like a lot of the Vtech stuff is using the AC outputs, which I just don't understand, because the circuitry itself is running on the DC, so there's got to be some kind of a rectifier in there which is converting that lower AC voltage to the DC voltage that it operates on. I wouldn't think that it's easier to build that into the circuit board rather than just putting it into the AC adapter, but I guess that's what they're doing. I don't like that, because it's harder to find these AC to AC adapters, whereas AC to DC adapters are commonplace. But anyways, so I guess that's what they're doing now. I suspect these are probably pretty decent phones. I don't really pay attention to modern phones much, but from what I've seen, I think the Vtech or AT&T stuff is the better options. Panasonic is not what it once was. I've used a couple of their newer models and they were just terrible. So that's too bad, because they, well, like a lot of other brands, they've built their reputation for a long time and they just completely let it go. Anyways, well, these have a decent feel to them. The buttons don't feel too cheap. The screens have a pretty good contrast. There's no clip or headset jack, which will be a deal breaker for some users. I like the clip. I don't use the headset often, but I do like the clip. Anyways, let's see. I think it wants to set the time and date, so let's go ahead and do that. The date is 4/16/22, and the current time is 8:25 in the evening, which is the PM. This one, and that one are pretty old rings that have been on Vtech phones for a while, but they sound kind of weird on this model. They're not the same. The volume isn't too bad compared to this one. I think this one's a little bit louder. At least, or maybe the frequency of this one is a little bit more audible, at least to me. Okay, well, let's go ahead and call these things up and see what transpires. I'm going to take a peep in the caller ID log, and that should tell us if I've tested these before. Yep, the Ring It box is in there, so I must have already tested these already. Oh well, we'll check them again. Only videos that seem to get a lot of views is cheap modern stuff anyways, which just drives me crazy. Okay, looks like they both got the caller ID and are working just fine. There's no answering machine, so no point in continuing to let it ring because it's not going to answer. Okay, let's let that clear out, then we'll try the fine handset. That's pretty loud. Okay, so let's go to the outside line and we'll make a call. Now these claim to have a duplex speakerphone, which is very rarely accurate. There's a lot of phones that claim to have a fully duplex speakerphone, but it's not really fully duplex because it'll cut off a little bit when you're speaking. So we'll have to see how good this full duplex speakerphone really is. I think a lot of them are more like half duplex in the sense where it can only either transmit or receive. It can't really do both at the same time.
Fishing in a mountain stream is my idea of a good time.
After the dance, they went straight home. The hostess taught the new maid to serve.
Adding fast leads to wrong sums.
So how duplex is it? Now see that? It's cutting off when I'm speaking into it, which means that it's not
heavy rain. They're not
fully duplex. It's not bad though. It's working better than some of the other models that I've used.
Smoke poured out of every crack.
Assuming the pickup is pretty good, I would say this is probably going to be one of the better handset speakerphones available.
The yacht slid around the point into the bay.
Which yacht? It's pretty clear too.
Rob friends deserve jail.
The frosty air passed through the coat. The crooked maze failed to fool the mouse.
He wrote the last novel there at the inn. Even the worst will beat his low score.
A saw is a tool used for making boards. The wagon moved on well-oiled wheels.
Try to have the court decide the case. They are pushed back each time they attack.
Chopped corn and garbage.
Much of the story makes good sense. The sun came up to light the eastern sky.
The two met while playing on the sand. The ink stain dried on the finished page.
The ripe taste of cheese.
Yeah, pretty clear audio.
Add the fat that leads to wrong sums. The show was a flop from the very start.
Cement had dried when he moved it. The loss of the second ship was hard to take.
Good audio range.
Watch the soul.
Let's see how the other handset works.
Floated on the raft to sun their white backs.
These days, a chicken leg is a rare dish. Rice is often served in round bowls.
It was firm on the shaky floor. It takes heat to bring out the odor.
The walled town was seized without a fight. The lease ran out in 16 weeks.
The purple tie was 10 years old. Men think and plan and sometimes act.
A saw is a tool used for making boards. The wagon moved on well-oiled wheels.
Torn scraps littered the stone floor. Sunday is the best part of the week.
That really is pretty good quality. I'm impressed by that. I can't imagine that this was a very expensive phone. I would just say probably this cost less than 30 beans. That's a really decent speakerphone. Well, let's call test and answer machine. Let's see how the pickup is. Because if the pickup is not good, then it doesn't really matter how good the output is.
3 new messages and 9 old messages. Message 1.
Hello, this is the first testing message from the Vtech CS6719-2 telephone. Going to depart the studio now and traverse across the room to make sure we get reception everywhere. I tend to think that we will. Usually the DECT 6 phones make it across here just fine. Okay, I am now all the way across the room, so if it's still getting a clear signal, then it seems to be working just fine. Unlike previous versions of phones like 5.8 and 900, where the range really seemed to vary from model to model, I don't find that there's all that much variance in the range of DECT 6 telephones. They kind of seem to just all be pretty similar. Okay, I'm going to switch this to the speakerphone now. And now it's on the speakerphone, and I'm speaking at about the same volume and distance from the handset. So this will give us a good comparison of the pickup on phone versus speaker. Now I have set the phone down on the table, and these phones have a little bit of a slant to them, so it's not standing up too good. I'll grab a ceiling fan blade and put it on there, and now it's standing up just fine. Okay, so I'm going to start moving back away from the phone. This is about a foot over the telephone, and this is about 2 feet away from the telephone, 3 feet away from the telephone, and this is 4 feet away from the telephone. This is kind of where I think the distance of acceptable performance needs to at least be to be considered a good speakerphone. I wouldn't expect it to work perfectly too much beyond this, but let's see, I'll keep moving back. This is about 5 feet.
Message 2.
It seemed to cut off when I got further away, so the pickup must not be that great from a distance, but it didn't cut off until I was all the way across the room, so chances are the pickup is okay. Alright, I'm going to hang this up into the base, then I'm going to call back again from the other handset.
Message 3.
Hey, I was just wondering if you smelt that skunk last night. It seemed to spray over by the electrical panel again, and it reeked this morning. I had to shut all the windows because I didn't want the house to stink. Call me to my home phone, 555-6217. Over.
End of messages.
Okay, so the pickup wasn't too bad. It was very clear, but it was a bit on the quiet side. Now granted, I was speaking very quietly. If he was speaking louder, it probably would have been perfectly normal. It did sound to me like the second handset was slightly louder. I don't know if that was just because I was recording louder, or if maybe there's a little bit of a quality control inconsistency here. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. But either way, I think this is a pretty decent phone set for more of a basic economy model.